The galaxy was full of voices. Some were brave, some were weak, but all spoke the same warning. Do not cross her path. Do not face the deadly alien woman. Merchants whispered her name in broken tones. Soldiers refused to say it at all. Colonies told their children, stay quiet or she will hear you. Nobody wanted to face her. Nobody dared. She was a shadow in space. Wherever her ship moved, wreckage followed. Entire fleets were found drifting, their crews gone without a trace. On burned planets, her mark remained, tall black symbols carved into stone like warnings left for the living. People said she was not mortal. Some believed she was a spirit of revenge, sent to punish whole worlds. Others claimed she was a weapon, created in secret, too powerful to be controlled. But one thing was certain. Fear kept her safe. Every alien race, the strong and the weak, chose silence instead of war. It was better to lose trade routes, better to lose territory, than to call her attention. On one space station, soldiers gathered in the mess hall. They told each other the same old stories. She burned a fleet of 20 ships with her own hands, one said. No, I heard she can walk through walls of steel, another answered. She is death itself, whispered a third. You see her face only once. Then nothing. The room went quiet. No one laughed. In the corner sat a human soldier, silent, listening. His name was Daniel Hayes. His eyes were sharp, but he showed no fear. He only asked one question. Has anyone tried to talk to her? The others stared at him as if he was mad. Talk? One shouted. You fool. No one even survives long enough to breathe near her. Daniel only leaned back in his chair. Strange, he said softly. If she is so powerful, why does she leave survivors to spread her name? The soldiers shifted uncomfortably. They had no answer. For Daniel, the galaxy's fear was not enough. He had seen too much war, too much pain to believe simple stories. He wanted truth, and truth, he knew, was hidden behind shadows. That night, he looked at the stars from the station's docking bay. His ship was small, old, and not ready for war. But he was not planning to fight. He was planning to find her. People warned him. The station commander pulled him aside. Hayes, the commander said, don't be a fool. You'll vanish like the rest. Your name will be nothing but another ghost story. Daniel gave a small smile. Then let the galaxy tell my story. At least it will not be one of silence. And with that, he boarded his ship. The journey was long and cold. The stars blurred into streaks as hyperspace folded around him. Alone in the cockpit, Daniel replayed the warnings in his head. Every voice said the same. Don't go. Don't face her. Don't even think of it, but Daniel thought of it. More than that, he dreamed of it. When his scanners finally picked up the signs, he knew he was close. A graveyard of ships floated in the darkness. Some were alien, some human, some unmarked. They drifted broken, silent, their metal twisted like paper. The human ship slowed. Daniel's breath grew heavy. He had seen battlefields before, but this was different. This was not war. This was a message. The message was clear. Turn back. Or join the dead. But Daniel did not turn back. Through the wreckage, a shadow appeared. At first it looked like another broken hull. Then it moved. Slowly, with purpose. Her ship. It was not the biggest ship in the galaxy. It was not even the most armed. But it felt alive, like a beast waiting to strike. Its black surface reflected no light. Its engines gave no sound. Inside, he knew, was the alien woman herself, the one no one dared face. Daniel's hand hovered over the weapons. Then he pulled it away. No, he had not come to fight. He had come to see. He opened a channel. Static filled the air. This is Daniel Hayes, he said calmly. I know you can hear me. I am not here to run. I am not here to fight. I only want to see your face. For a long moment there was nothing, only silence. Then the static broke. A voice, cold and sharp, spoke in words older than any human tongue. Somehow he understood them. Foolish human, the voice said. Do you not value your life? Daniel's lips curled into a smile. My life is mine to spend. I choose to spend it facing you. Silence again. Then without warning her ship moved. Fast, lights blazed. His scanners screamed. His ship shook under the pressure of her power. It felt like the end. But instead of fire, instead of death, there was something else. A second voice. Her voice again. This time, soft, she spoke his name. Daniel Hayes. His blood froze. How could she know his name? And that was when Daniel realized the galaxy's stories were only half true. She was not just a legend. She was watching, waiting, and somehow she already knew him. The galaxy feared her. But now she had chosen him to live. Or to die. The stars burned cold above him. Daniel Hayes sat inside his small ship, staring at the shadow before him. The alien woman's vessel floated like a predator in the dark, silent but alive. It was not the biggest ship, yet it felt more dangerous than any fleet, and she had spoken his name. Daniel's heart pounded. He had never told her, never sent a signal with his identity. Yet she knew. Somehow she already knew him. Most men would have fled. Most would have begged for mercy. But Daniel did neither. He leaned forward, eyes steady on the dark vessel. "This is my choice," he whispered to himself. "If I turn back now, I'll never know the truth." The alien ship moved closer. Every sensor on Daniel's ship went wild. Warnings flashed red, alarms screamed, but he ignored them. The shadow ship stopped just beyond his hull. Then, without warning, his systems died. The lights went black, the engine cut, and silence filled the air. His ship was nothing more than a coffin drifting in space. And then he saw her. A tall figure appeared on his viewing screen. Her face was half hidden in shadows. Eyes like burning stars, sharp and cold, locked on him. Her armor looked alive, a second skin of black steel. "Human," she said, her voice low and heavy. "Why do you seek me? Do you wish to die?" Daniel swallowed but did not break eye contact. "No," he said simply. "I wish to see who you are." For a moment, nothing moved. Then, shockingly, she laughed. The sound was strange, half a laugh, half a growl, echoing like thunder. "You are different," she said. "Others beg, others scream, but you stare at me as if I am only flesh." "Because you are," Daniel replied. His voice was steady. "You bleed like I do. You breathe like I do. The galaxy fears you, but I refuse to." Her eyes narrowed. She tilted her head, studying him the way a predator studies prey. "Then prove it," she said. Without warning, Daniel's ship shook violently. He was pulled inside her hangar, trapped by invisible claws of energy. His vessel hit the floor with a loud crash. When the lights returned, he saw her, no longer on a screen but standing before him. She was taller than any human woman, her form sharp and dangerous. Her presence filled the hangar like fire. Soldiers would have fallen to their knees. Daniel did not. He stepped forward, standing face to face with the one the galaxy called death. "What will you do with me?" he asked calmly. Her eyes glowed brighter. "You ask questions no slave has ever dared to ask. You are bold. Perhaps too bold." Daniel gave a small smile. "Or perhaps boldness is the only way to survive you." Her lips curled. "We will see." She raised her hand and the hangar transformed. The walls shifted, melting into shapes Daniel could not understand. The floor opened beneath him, revealing a vast landscape, jungle, stone, and fire. It was not possible, yet it was real. "This is my trial," she said. "Every being who has faced me has died here. If you survive one night, I will let you live. If you fail, your bones will remain here forever." Daniel looked around. He saw sharp trees with glowing thorns, rivers of black liquid, and shadows moving in the distance. It was a nightmare world alive with predators. He turned back to her. "And if I survive?" Her eyes glimmered with dark light. "Then you are more than human," and with that she vanished. The night began. Daniel moved slowly, every step careful. The air burned his lungs, heavy and sharp. Strange creatures howled from the darkness. Their voices were not of animals, but something worse, something intelligent. A rustle behind him. He spun quickly. A beast leapt from the shadows, long claws slicing through the air. Daniel dropped low, rolling across the ground. The beast crashed where he had stood, snarling with teeth like blades. He grabbed a broken branch. Not much of a weapon, but it was enough. As the beast charged again, Daniel struck hard, aiming for the eyes. The creature screamed, thrashing in rage before stumbling back into the black river. Daniel stood, chest heaving, but alive. More shadows circled him. The trial had only begun. Hours passed. Daniel fought monsters with nothing but his wits and courage. He used stones, branches, even his bare hands. He bled, but he did not fall. Every scar was proof he was still alive. But the strangest thing was not the beasts. It was the feeling. He knew she was watching. Somewhere in the dark, her eyes followed him, not as an enemy, but as a judge. As dawn finally touched the horizon of that strange world, Daniel stood tall, bloodied, but alive. The shadows withdrew, the beasts vanished, and the world itself faded back into the hangar. The alien woman appeared again, her expression unreadable. "You survived," she said softly. "No one has ever survived." Daniel wiped the blood from his cheek. "Then perhaps it is time you stop calling me human." For the first time, she did not smile, did not mock. She looked at him with something different, respect and fear. But then, alarms blared across the ship. Red lights flashed. Outside the hangar, Daniel saw fleets of enemy vessels closing in. Dozens of warships, their weapons armed. Her voice grew cold again. "They have found me." Daniel's breath slowed. This was not the end of his trial. It was only the beginning. The alarm screamed through the alien woman's ship. Red lights painted the walls as the sound of charging weapons echoed in the distance. Enemy fleets were closing in fast. Daniel Hayes stood in the hangar, his chest still bleeding from the night's trial. He had survived beasts, fire, and shadows. But this was different. This was war. The alien woman stood tall before him, her glowing eyes fixed on the approaching ships. She showed no fear, only a calm that felt colder than space itself. "They have come to end me," she said, her voice steady. "They sent fleets because they cannot face me alone." Daniel took a deep breath. "Then let them come." The ship shook violently as the first blasts hit the shields. Metal groaned, sparks fell from the ceiling. Daniel held the railing as the hangar trembled. The woman turned to him. "You should run. This fight is not yours." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "You tested me. You judged me. I survived your world of monsters. Now it is my turn to stand with you." Her eyes burned brighter, searching his face. For a moment she said nothing. Then she gave a sharp nod. "Very well," she said. "Then you will see the true trial." The walls of the hangar shifted again. Machinery moved, metal grinding as doors opened to reveal rows of weapons. Blades of black steel, rifles glowing with alien energy, shields that shimmered like water. Daniel reached for a blade. It was heavier than anything he had held before, but it hummed with strange power. The woman armed herself too, her armor shifting into a war form. Her presence filled the air with a deadly aura. She was no longer only a shadow. She was a storm preparing to strike. She looked at him one last time. "If you fear, you die. If you hesitate, you die. Stand with me, or fall like the rest." Daniel gripped the blade tighter. "I didn't come this far to fall." The battle began. Enemy ships cut through the dark, filling the void with fire. Missiles and plasma struck her vessel, shaking it but not breaking it. From the hangar walls, turrets unfolded, returning fire with blinding force. The woman moved like lightning. With a gesture of her hand, she commanded her ship as if it were alive. Shields shifted, weapons roared, and enemy fighters exploded in bursts of flame. Daniel fought beside her, guiding smaller defense systems. He had no training with alien technology, but his instincts carried him. He pressed buttons, pulled levers, and turned cannons toward the weakest targets. One after another, enemy ships fell under their combined fury. But still the fleets pressed closer. Hours felt like minutes. The battle dragged on, fire upon fire, until Daniel's arms ached and his vision blurred. The ship's shields were breaking, sparks showering the floor. A blast shook the hangar open and enemy soldiers stormed inside. This was no longer a battle of ships. It was face-to-face war. Daniel raised his blade, his heart pounding. The first enemy charged, a tall warrior with steel claws. Daniel swung hard, meeting the claws with a sharp strike. Sparks flew, metal screamed, and the enemy fell. The woman moved beside him, a blur of death. Her blade cut through 3 soldiers in one motion, her armor glowing with fury. They fought back to back, their movements different but in rhythm. She was the storm. He was the unshaken rock. Together they held the line. When the last enemy soldier fell, the hangar floor was covered in smoke and blood. Daniel stood, breathing hard, his arms shaking from the weight of the blade. The woman stepped forward, calm as ever. She looked at him, her glowing eyes softer now. "You fought as if your life meant nothing," she said. Daniel gave a weak smile. "Maybe my life means more when I fight beside you." For the first time, she did not laugh or mock him. She was silent, her gaze unreadable. Then suddenly the ship shook again. A voice echoed through the hangar. "Attention, warrior queen," the message boomed. "We are the United Fleets. Surrender now or be destroyed. Your trial ends here." The woman's eyes grew dark. She turned slowly toward Daniel. "They do not speak to me," she said. "They speak to us. You fought beside me, human. Now they see you as my equal. They will hunt you too. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then let them hunt. They'll find I'm not easy prey. The woman stared at him for a long moment, and then, with a voice colder than space, she said, Then prepare yourself, for now. You are mine. The hangar doors opened, revealing the endless fleets waiting outside, their weapons glowing brighter than suns, thousands of ships aimed at one. Daniel tightened his grip on the blade, his heart beating like thunder. This was not just survival anymore. This was war, and together, human and alien woman, they would either rise or fall into legend. The galaxy's fleet still circled outside, their weapons glowing like a ring of fire around the alien woman's ship. Daniel Hayes stood in the hangar, sweat dripping from his face, his blade still wet with blood. The alien woman did not move. Her eyes, bright as burning stars, stared into the void. She looked calm, but Daniel could feel the storm inside her. They will not stop, she said, her voice quiet but sharp. They will keep coming until the sky itself burns. Daniel wiped his blade and stood beside her. Then let them come. We'll fight until they have nothing left. For a moment her eyes flicked toward him. Not anger. Not mockery. Something else. Something hidden. You do not understand, she said softly. They fear me not only for what I have done, but for what I am. Before Daniel could answer, the ship groaned and shifted. Metal walls melted into strange shapes and the floor opened beneath them. The hangar vanished, replaced by a great hall. Tall black pillars rose into the dark. Glowing fire symbols covered the walls. The air was heavy, pressing down like 1,000 voices whispering at once. Daniel looked around, stunned. What is this place? The woman stepped forward. Her armor faded into softer black cloth, and for the first time she looked less like a monster and more like a queen. This, she said, is my truth. She walked toward the pillars. As she moved, the symbols lit up one by one. Daniel followed, his blade still in hand. I was not always a shadow, she said. Once I was like any other. I had a world, a people, a family. Daniel frowned. And now? Her voice turned colder. Now my world is ash. My people betrayed me, my family fed me to the fire. She placed her hand on one of the pillars and suddenly the walls came alive with images. Daniel saw visions, tall alien cities shining with silver towers, armies marching in her name, crowds bowing as she walked through the streets. She was not only a warrior, she was a ruler. But then the visions darkened. He saw fire, betrayal, soldiers turning against her. He saw her chained, beaten, left to die on a burning plain. And then, her chains shattered, her enemies destroyed, their cities turned to ruins. Daniel's breath slowed. They tried to kill you. Her eyes glowed brighter. Yes, and in killing me they created what they fear now. I am no longer their queen. I am their shadow, their nightmare. For the first time, Daniel felt a strange weight in his chest. She was not just a monster, not just a killer. She was broken, betrayed, shaped by pain into something the galaxy could not control. Why tell me this? Daniel asked quietly. She turned to him, her eyes sharp. Because you are not like the others. You do not tremble. You do not run. You saw my face and still chose to stay. That makes you dangerous, human. More dangerous than any weapon. Daniel gave a small smile. Or maybe it just makes me stubborn. She tilted her head, almost amused. Then her expression hardened again. But know this, she said. The fleets outside will not stop because of you. If they learn I trust a human, they will kill us both. You will not only be my ally, you will be my curse. The floor shook violently. The vision walls shattered and the great hall faded back into the hangar. Sirens blared again. Her ship was under heavy fire. Through the hangar doors, Daniel saw bright blasts striking the shields. The fleets were pressing closer, ready to tear the ship apart. He turned to her. Then let me carry that curse. You've been alone long enough. For a moment, she stared at him in silence. Then for the first time, she spoke not with power, not with anger, but with something almost human. Then fight with me, Daniel Hayes, she said softly. Not as prey, not as trial, but as one who chooses. The ground shook harder. Explosions roared in the distance. The fleets outside had started their final assault. Daniel tightened his grip on the blade, his heart steady. Then I choose to stand with you. The woman raised her hand, summoning her armor back around her body. She looked once more like the storm the galaxy feared, but this time Daniel saw something new behind the storm. Not just fury, not just shadow. Hope. Then a piercing sound ripped through the air. A new signal came from the fleets outside, louder than the rest. Attention all forces, the voice boomed. We have located her fortress. The alien queen will not escape. Begin full bombardment. The alien woman's eyes turned sharp. Fortress? She whispered. Daniel frowned. What fortress? Her voice grew dark. The last place of my people. If they destroy it, my history, my bloodline, all of it will vanish forever. Daniel's chest tightened. Then we can't let that happen. The woman looked at him, her eyes burning like fire. Then prepare yourself, human. We will not only fight for our lives, we will fight for what is left of my soul. Through the hangar doors, Daniel saw it at last. Far in the distance, hidden in the stars, a great black fortress, massive and ancient, glowing faintly against the void. The fleets were already moving toward it, and for the first time Daniel understood. This was not just her war, it was about to become his. The fortress hung in the distance like a wounded star. Black and ancient, it glowed faintly against the endless dark. It was not only stone and metal, it was memory, history, the last piece of her broken world. Daniel Hayes stared at it from the hangar doors. Enemy fleets were already closing in, thousands of ships tightening around the fortress like a noose. Their weapons charged with blinding light, ready to erase everything in a storm of fire. The alien woman's voice cut through the silence. Cold, steady, heavy with fury. They want to end me. But more than that, they want to end who I was. If the fortress falls, my people's name is ash forever. Daniel tightened his grip on his blade. His body ached from the trial, from the battles, but his spirit did not bend. Then we don't let it fall, he said. Not while we're still breathing. Her eyes burned brighter, a fire hidden in storm. She turned toward him, studying his face. You are only one man, she said softly. And yet, you speak as if you carry an army. Daniel gave a half smile. Sometimes one is enough. The ship shook hard as another blast hit the shields. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The woman raised her hand, and the ship responded as if alive. Armor shifted, weapons charged, engines roared like beasts. She looked at Daniel. This will not be survival. This will be war. Stand with me now, and there is no turning back. Daniel's jaw tightened. I wasn't planning to turn back. Her lips curved, half a smile, half a warning. Then prepare, human, for the galaxy will remember this night. The alien woman's ship leapt forward, cutting through space with impossible speed. Enemy fleets moved to block them, hundreds of ships firing in unison. The void exploded with fire. Blinding bursts of plasma lit the darkness. Missiles streaked like falling stars. The shield screamed under the weight, shaking the walls. Daniel staggered but kept his footing. He manned the turrets again, locking onto enemy fighters. One by one, he blasted them from the sky. The woman stood at the center, commanding the ship like a living creature. Her voice rang out in alien words, and every weapon obeyed. Massive beams of black energy tore through enemy cruisers, ripping them apart. But for every ship they destroyed, more appeared. The fleets were endless, stretching across the stars. Suddenly, an explosion ripped through the left side of the ship. Fire filled the corridors and alarms howled. Daniel ran to seal the breach, slamming heavy doors shut. His hands burned, smoke filled his lungs, but he did not stop. The woman appeared beside him, her armor glowing with power. With one strike of her hand, the fire vanished, sucked into nothing by alien technology. She glanced at him. You fight like you were born in war, she said. Daniel coughed, his chest heavy with smoke. Maybe I was. Her gaze lingered a moment longer. Then she turned away. The battle grew worse. The fortress was in sight now, but so were the fleets surrounding it. Dozens of warships unleashed their fire upon its walls. The ancient stone cracked. Towers fell into the void. Daniel's chest tightened at the sight. If the fortress fell, everything she had shown him, her history, her truth, would be gone. No, he whispered. Not like this. The woman's voice thundered through the ship. Not while I still live. She pushed her hands outward, and her ship answered with a roar. All its weapons fired at once, black energy tearing through entire squadrons. Explosions lit the sky like burning suns. Daniel joined her, locking every turret he could find. He fired until his arms ached, until his vision blurred. Enemy ships burned, but more kept coming. Then the unthinkable happened. The fortress shields collapsed. A massive blast struck its walls, tearing one side apart. A tower fell into the void, breaking into glowing fragments. The fleets cheered in one united signal, their voices booming across the comms. End her. End it all. The alien woman's eyes widened with fury. Her armor pulsed with light, her voice shook the air. They will destroy everything, she said, her voice trembling with rage. My people, my blood, my last memory. Daniel grabbed her arm, his voice sharp. Then fight harder, not for your past, for your future. For the first time, she looked at him with something new. Not just respect, not just curiosity, but belief. The ship turned sharply, racing straight into the heart of the fleets. Enemy weapons locked onto them. Thousands of cannons glowed bright, preparing to fire. Daniel's heart pounded. This is suicide. Her lips curled into a deadly smile. No, this is victory. The ship's core glowed, brighter and brighter, until Daniel had to shield his eyes. The woman raised both hands, her voice echoing like thunder. The ship pulsed with impossible power. In that moment, Daniel realized the truth. She was not only a queen, not only a warrior. She was something more. A force the galaxy had tried to bury but could never kill. And now she was about to unleash it. The fleets fired. Thousands of blasts filled the sky. The fortress shook, breaking apart piece by piece. Daniel clenched his blade, his heart racing. If we die together. The alien woman's voice cut through the chaos. No, Daniel Hayes, we will not die. We will show them what it means to face us. Her ship roared, and a wave of black fire burst outward, swallowing the stars. The black wave of fire spread across the void. It swallowed fleets, crushed fighters, and burned whole cruisers into ash. The stars lit up with explosions, brighter than any sun. Daniel Hayes shielded his eyes, the roar of power shaking his bones. He had seen war, he had seen destruction, but never like this. This was not only battle, it was judgment. The alien woman stood at the center of it all, her armor glowing, her hands raised like a god of war. She did not blink, did not breathe. She poured every part of herself into the attack, and it was killing her. Daniel saw it. Her body shook. Cracks of light spread across her armor, burning through her skin. Her power was great, but the cost was greater. If she kept going, she would burn herself out until nothing remained. Stop, Daniel shouted, grabbing her arm. You'll die. Her eyes flared, sharp and endless. Better I die than my people's last memory. Daniel shook his head. His grip tightened. Not like this, not alone. The wave finally faded. Silence filled the void. Thousands of enemy ships had been destroyed, but not all. The survivors regrouped quickly, moving closer, tightening their ring of fire. The woman stumbled, her breath ragged, her armor flickering. Daniel caught her before she fell. You're not finished yet, he said firmly. Not while I'm still here. Her eyes narrowed. Why? Why risk your life for me? I am shadow. I am death. Your kind should fear me. Daniel met her gaze without fear. Because I see more than shadow. I see someone who refuses to bow even when the galaxy turns against her. That is not death. That is life. For the first time, her eyes softened, but only for a moment. Then the alarms blared again. The fleets were preparing their final strike. The fortress loomed behind them, its towers broken, its shields gone. Another barrage and it would crumble into nothing. Daniel helped the woman to her feet. We need a plan. Her voice was low, heavy with exhaustion. There is one, but it is not survival. It is sacrifice. Daniel frowned. Explain. She pointed toward the fortress. Beneath its core is a weapon, older than empires. My people built it as their last defense. It can burn every enemy in the sky, but it will also destroy the fortress itself. All that remains of my world will be gone forever. Daniel's heart pounded. And what about you? Her silence was answer enough. He shook his head fiercely. No. There has to be another way. There is not, she said, her voice like steel. My death will buy your life. The fortress's death will buy freedom from the fleets. It is the only way. Daniel stepped in front of her, blocking her path. You've carried this war alone long enough. But I didn't survive your trial. I didn't fight beside you, just to watch you throw yourself into fire. Her lips curled into the faintest shadow of a smile. You would stop me? Even now? Yes, Daniel said. His voice was firm. Because your life matters more than your past. The ship shook violently. Explosions ripped across the hull. Enemy fleets had begun their final attack, their weapons burning brighter, closer, louder. The woman turned toward the fortress again, her hands trembling. If I unleash the weapon, we win. But I am bound to it. The fire will not let me live. Daniel's mind raced. Then a thought struck him. A reckless, impossible thought. Then let me take the fire, he said. Her eyes widened, glowing like twin stars. You a human? It will tear you apart in seconds. Daniel gave a small, tired smile. Maybe. But maybe it won't. Maybe the galaxy has never seen what happens when human stubbornness meets alien fire. For the first time, she looked shaken. Truly shaken. You would risk everything. For me? She whispered. Daniel nodded. Not for you alone, for us. Because we've already changed everything just by standing here together. The fortress loomed closer. Its core glowed faintly as if waiting for someone to wake it. The fleets gathered around, their cannons blazing, their voices united in one demand. Surrender, or burn. Daniel's jaw tightened. He looked at the alien woman. She was still weak, her body trembling from the last attack. She was ready to die, but he was not ready to let her. Tell me what to do, he said. She stared at him, silent for a long moment. Then slowly she spoke. You must enter the core. Place your hands upon the firestone. It will choose. If you are strong enough, it will obey you. If not, you will be nothing but ash. Daniel grinned faintly. I've been called worse. The ship pierced through the last line of enemy fighters. The fortress filled their view now, massive and broken but still alive. Inside the hangar, Daniel tightened his grip on the blade. His heart pounded, his chest burned, but his steps were steady. The alien woman walked beside him, her voice low. If you fall human, know this, you have already done what no one else could. You changed me. Daniel turned his head, meeting her glowing eyes. Then don't say goodbye yet. The hangar doors opened to the fortress. The core chamber glowed ahead, waiting. The fleets outside prepared their final strike. Daniel stepped forward, ready to gamble his life. The woman's voice echoed behind him, soft but sharp. Daniel Hayes, do not fail me. He looked back once, gave her a small smile, and then walked into the fire. The core chamber burned like a living sun. Flames of pure energy curled and twisted, spilling light that felt alive. The fortress seemed to breathe with it, pulsing in rhythm like a giant heart. Daniel Hayes stepped forward, the heat biting his skin. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from the weight of choice. One step more and he would hold the fire of a dead empire. Behind him, the alien woman watched in silence. Her glowing eyes followed him, but for once she had no command, no warning. Only a whisper escaped her lips, human. If you fail, I will burn beside you. Daniel gave her a faint smile without turning back. Then I can't fail, can I? He reached the firestone. It floated above the chamber floor, a black crystal wrapped in streams of light. The air shook with power. Daniel placed his hands upon it. The fire roared. It tore into him like lightning, ripping through his blood, burning his veins, filling his chest with fire. His body shook, his vision turned white. He could not breathe, could not think. His mind screamed, let go. But he didn't. His grip tightened. His teeth clenched. He forced himself to stand, not letting go, he growled. The fire pushed harder, testing him, trying to break him. Memories flashed, his childhood, his wars, his losses. Pain came in waves, but still he held on. And then, the fire changed, it slowed. It shifted. It listened. The streams of light curled around him, no longer burning, but wrapping like chains. The fire recognized him. It accepted him. Daniel Hayes had become its master. Outside, the fleets unleashed their final strike. Thousands of cannons fired at once, streams of energy rushing toward the fortress. But before the blasts could land, the fortress itself awoke. Its walls glowed with black light. Its towers rose like giants, and from its core, guided by Daniel, a storm of energy erupted. The fire of an empire burst across the void. Enemy fleets were torn apart in seconds. Cruisers split in half. Battleships exploded like shattered stars. Fighters vanished in burning waves. The sky turned white, then black, then silent. When the fire faded, nothing remained but drifting wreckage. The fortress still stood. Inside, Daniel collapsed to his knees, smoke rising from his skin. His body shook, his chest burned, but he was alive. The alien woman rushed to him, her armor fading as she dropped beside him. Her hands hovered over his wounds, unsure whether to touch or not. "You fool," she whispered, her voice trembling. "No being should have survived that. Not even me." Daniel gave a weak laugh. "Guess no one told the fire that." Her eyes softened. For the first time, her voice lost its sharp edge. "You did not just survive. You saved everything." Daniel's smile faded. "Not everything. The fortress, your people's last home. It's gone, isn't it?" She shook her head slowly. "No, you changed it. You made it live again. Their memory lives, not in ashes, but in fire." For a long time they sat in silence, the hum of the fortress filling the air. Finally, Daniel pushed himself to his feet. His body trembled, but his eyes were steady. "So what now?" he asked. The alien woman rose too. Her eyes glowed brighter than before, but different. No longer filled only with fury, but with something deeper. "Now," she said softly, "the galaxy will come again. They will fear us more than ever. But they will also remember this day. They will remember that one human stood where no one else dared." Daniel chuckled. "That's one way to make history." She stepped closer, her voice low. "No, Daniel Hayes, you did not make history. You changed it." News spread across the stars like fire. Survivors whispered of the battle, of the fortress that awakened, of the fleets that burned in seconds. But most of all, they whispered of the strange truth. The deadly alien woman did not fight alone. She had stood beside a human, a single human. And together, they had done what no empire, no fleet, no army could. Weeks later, the galaxy still argued. Some called him a fool, some a liar, some a legend, but none denied it. The story was real. No one dared face her, they said. Except him. On the edge of space, the fortress drifted, alive again. Daniel stood on one of its towers, staring at the stars. The alien woman stood beside him, silent but present. He broke the silence. "You know, when I left that station, everyone told me I was walking to my death." Her glowing eyes turned to him. "They were not wrong. You walked into fire, but you walked out as more than human." Daniel shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe I just refused to let go." She studied him for a long moment, then spoke, her voice softer than he had ever heard. "Then perhaps that is what the galaxy never understood. Fear makes them weak, but courage." She paused, her lips curving faintly. "Courage changes everything." Above them, the stars stretched wide, endless and bright. The galaxy was still dangerous, still broken, still waiting for war. But now it also waited for something else. A legend, a shadow queen who was no longer alone, and the one human who dared to stand beside her. Together, they would walk into the unknown. Together, they would face the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same again.